Hey everybody, I'm Key,
And I'm Bailey.
and we are coming at you
From the
from the
box.
box. It's February, actually. Isn't that crazy? That's actually, I don't want to think about that. It's
No,
February
thank you.
2nd. It's February 2nd today, which means that we are due for another weekly Yap-Up. So we'll be covering everything from Monday, January 27th to today, February 2nd. Pretty eventful week, honestly. Still nothing really on the F1 front, I think.
There's little things, but nothing like.
I think I saw something about like Lewis Hamilton doing something, but I don't know.
Oh, he crashed the Ferrari during testing. So, funny thing about him crashing, he has actually crashed two other cars before the Ferrari, before when he enters new teams. So,
Uh-huh.
he crashed the Mercedes during testing before the season started,
Oh my
and he
gosh.
crashed a McLaren during testing before season started, and he won the championship that year.
That's crazy.
So we'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see if that trend continues.
So they've started testing now, or just him, or
Private
like,
testing.
okay, got it.
So teams have not all, like Ferrari's been testing for a few weeks. Williams has been testing for a couple weeks as well.
Okay, nice.
They have their private testing, and then
Mhm.
there's like the official testing in
Got it.
Bahrain that starts later this month.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Now that it's February, your realm is starting to
Mm-hmm.
to get more traction there.
Yeah, and livery reveals are coming in the next couple weeks, and
Okay.
helmet
Period.
reveals.
Oh my
Excited
gosh.
for helmet
So we're
reveals.
gonna actually get to talk about F1 soon.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see the livery reveals.
most of them
Now,
are going to be happening at like the big F1 launch.
ooh, okay.
But some other teams have like separate livery reveals that they're going to be doing too.
Okay, cool. Well, now that I know what they are and what they look like, I'm excited. Meanwhile, in the hockey world, it's been pretty good. Everyone, like lots of good hockey, but everyone's kind of gearing up for the NHL break because the stupid Four Nations face-off thing is happening later this month. And so for those who are unaware, every February, the NHL like does this thing where they take a break from the NHL and like they do some sort of weird tournament. So like last season it was the All-Stars tournament and then this season it's the Four Nations face-off. So it's like Canada, US, Finland, and I think Sweden.
I think
Um
so.
and so it's like the all basically it's still like an all-star tournament, but it's like players from those four nations. So they've just been like slowly revealing like the jerseys and like the teams and the captains and stuff like that. But it's like this really annoying thing because it's like it's a full tournament, so they like take 2 weeks or whatever to do this tournament. And I think it's unnecessary. Like everybody else gets a break, but like these guys just like still get more hockey,
Work.
and it's like leading up to the end of the season and towards playoffs too. So it's like, okay, so now all your all-stars are just going to be tired,
Yeah.
go off, but whatever. And then this today was the last PWHL game for the next 10 days. They also are taking an international break. So whatever. I don't know. I guess we'll just get started with Monday, January 27th. A couple games happened this day. For my notes personally, I have that the Sirens won 3-0 against the Ottawa Charge. It was Kaylee Osborne in net, and it was her first PWHL shutout. So we love to see it, and good for her. I'm really pleased that all of the PWHL backup goalies are just as strong and solid as their main goalies.
They really are.
Robbie also like remarked about this too of like in the NHL, like maybe it's because there are so many teams and such a big pool of people, but in the NHL, like there are very clear like strong goalies and weaker goalies. But with the PWHL, like all the main goalies and their backups are just all so strong and solid. So good to see. Yeah, it was a good game, really riveting. But the standings have changed a bit actually since that game, so we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
And then I have that the Sharks won 2-1 against the Penguins. I have in my notes, I hope Sidney Crosby went home and cried. Yeah, Celebrity scored a goal that game. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was just nice to see the last team in the league beat the Penguins, who are pretending that they're still relevant. Did the Kraken play that day? Yeah, they
On
did.
that Monday?
Yeah, they played the Oilers.
Yeah, they lost 4-2. Eli Tolvanen started he basically started because he's scored at the last 4 games.
Yes, he has
He's
a
scored a
streak
goal.
going on. Yeah,
Yep,
nice. Oh, did McDavid get a goal? I'll be really sad. Oh, he
I
did
think he
get a
did,
goal.
yeah.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. That's all I have about Monday, honestly. As was the case in the last weekly Yap Up, there's one game that I'm super stoked to talk about. Actually, 2 games that I'm super stoked to talk about. But yeah, Monday, good day. Sharks win, Penguins lose, and Sirens win. So Tuesday, January 28th. I know that the Kraken had a back to back. We'll save that for last because something crazy happens after.
Yeah.
If you guys saw our Q&A video, you, you know there was some really crazy foreshadowing happening there. Anyways, really solid week for the Jets, honestly. So on Tuesday, the Jets win 4-1 against the Habs. Love to see it. There's this crazy lore that I have to get into. Montreal hates Mark Scheifele. So anytime that the Jets are playing in the Habs house, anytime that Scheifele has the puck, the entire arena boos. It is because of this. In 2021, Mark Scheifele delivered an absolutely inexcusable, disgusting, terrible hit to Jake Evans. I think his name is Jake Evans. And it was just so brutal. I'll see if I can find a video of it. I'm sure there's videos of it. It was not good. Not a good day to be a Jets fan. And so basically the Habs haven't forgotten about this, or the Habs fans haven't forgotten about this. The Habs don't really like Jake Evans himself doesn't care anymore. Like it happened like 4 years ago. But Habs fans haven't forgotten. So every time that Mark Scheifele touches the puck, he gets a big boo. But he scored a goal. So I said, we love to see Scheif getting a goal in Montreal's house. He lives rent free in their heads. And then there was a really awesome moment where Kyle Connor scores he scored in the second period with 1.5 seconds left in the period. Yeah, so that was pretty epic. And overall, a really good game for the Jets. We're on a road trip right now, so always nice to beat teams in their own houses. And then the Kraken have a game against the Ducks.
Yeah, they had one. Lots happened in it. It was the mom's game.
Yes, that was the
Um,
mom's game. Okay, I thought that was Monday. I see.
so all the moms got to go to the game, and it was cute and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all cheering on their boys.
I'll put something in post over top of this narration.
From Mama to Cord in on mic or
Mm-hmm.
mic'd up or whatever.
Yes. Oh my god, Mama Decord was mic'd up. It was so
So
cute.
cute.
She's adorable. She's just like interacting with the other moms and being like, "Oh my god, like isn't this so amazing? It's just so
That
great
was
to be
so cute.
here." Bailey's mom-in-law.
One day maybe. But as soon as the game started, I groaned and I knew it was gonna happen
Mm-hmm.
because Grubauer was in net.
Yeah, because Joey would have played on the Monday, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
At least Trevor Zegras didn't score.
So true.
So that's a win for us. Is that
Absolutely.
Trevor Zegras didn't score.
Not fans in this house.
Mm-mm. That's another. We'll get into that another time.
Their first goal of the game happened within the first 2 minutes. Not for my boys. Not for the
And
Kraken.
it was the Ducks' first shot on net too, yeah?
Mm, I think so.
That's crazy. I can't. It wasn't a shutout though, right? Like they at least got some.
No. It was 6-4.
Okay, that's at least pretty close.
So Tolvey tied it up in the first period, and
Yes,
then the
I do.
first period ended with the Kraken in lead. Ended at 3-2.
Oh yes, I remember that everyone was saying that it was every single goal was scored by a different person. There was never any doubles of like Shane Wright scoring 2 or like whatever. Like every
No,
single goal was scored by a different player.
everyone really had good chances with their Tim's picks that day.
That's so funny. Oh my god. Okay, anyways.
Period 2 starts, and Gru immediately lets in another goal within the first minute. And then the Ducks proceed to get 2 more goals in the second period. Oh, yeah. And then I have a note that 3 fights break out around the net, like simultaneously.
Crazy. Okay.
And then period 2 ends 5-3 for the Ducks.
So then in the third, they each score 1, basically, to make it 6-4.
But Shane Wright got a goal during the power play, and the moms went wild.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my god, that's
It
so
was
cute.
so cute.
They're so adorable. I love the moms games more than the dads games because
No,
they're
they're
just
so good.
so expressive. Like the Jets moms are so cute. They're just
Mhm.
so expressive.
And then I fell asleep during the third period, so I missed
Yeah.
the end of the game, but
The
it's
games are
fine.
so late though.
It started at 9:30.
Like same with the Thursday game. Like it was so late. I
So
think it ended at like midnight or something. I don't
it
know.
was after midnight because I fell asleep as well. But yeah, and then
Great.
immediately following that game, Grubauer was put on waivers.
You heard it here, not first, because it's news has been out for a while, but you heard it here, gang.
Well, he's since cleared waivers and
So
is back at the Firebirds.
So, for those who don't know what that is, I'm gonna explain it in a really bad way because even I don't really. But like, basically, being put on waivers is like, hey guys, like,
Who wants him?
who wants him? We don't want him. Like, y'all line up at the door, give me your offers. And he did not get claimed. If a player that's placed on waivers doesn't get claimed, like the team is still responsible for the rest of their contract, but they just get sent down. They don't want them on the actual NHL team anymore, so they get sent down to their AHL equivalent. So for the Kraken, that's the Coachella Firebirds.
Coachella Valley Firebirds, yeah.
Because nobody claimed Gru, they're still responsible for like he still gets to keep his contract. He's just
He had just signed a fresh 2-year contract at the
yeah,
beginning of the year.
literally crazy.
So
Oh,
crazy.
oh, and his mom flew in from Germany for the mom's game. And then found out her son got put on waivers the next day. Oh, so brutal. But like this will be good for him. Like it's being sent down to the AHL. If you're an NHL player, being sent down to the AHL, I suppose is probably a bit mortifying and a bit humiliating, but like it's a good way for players to get their confidence back, like play with lower stakes, like really kind of develop themselves again and get back to a point where they know they can be. In the Q&A episode, like I talked about how I don't like how like the AHL is seen as like where the bad players go or whatever, because like it is a developmental league, and so sometimes you just need to play at a lower tier just to kind of get your confidence back and get your skills back.
Refine your skills.
Exactly, because like especially like Gru, this isn't his first. Like he's been in the NHL for a while,
A while.
and like he used to be a really good goalie.
Hmm.
And so like sometimes when you just play for a while, like you just get burnt out, and like you just need to play with lower stakes and like kind of get that groove back. Hopefully this will be good for him, and hopefully he'll get to be at a point again where he and the Kraken feel confident that he could be sent back up. But in the meantime, I don't know how to pronounce it. Alisteska, I think.
Yeah, I don't know either.
He's the new backup.
They
So
called him up
basically,
from the
yeah,
Firebirds.
they did a little switcheroo. Wednesday was a quiet day for hockey, except for the PWHL. Montreal beats Ottawa 4-1, and Marie-Philippe Poulin gets her first Hattie of the season and the first Hattie in general in the PWHL season this year. So very cool, very slay. When the announcers said that, I was actually shocked because I just assumed that like other players and other teams have gotten Hatties this season so far, but nope, she's the first player to get a Hattie this season. So
Not
yay!
surprising.
Honestly, not surprising. She almost got one today, but I'll talk to that when I get to today. But now we're getting into the crazy games. I'll start with the Jets one. Bailey will have probably more to talk about for the Kraken one. So Thursday, January 30th, the Jets played the Bruins. It was a scary game a little bit because we played the Bruins earlier this year and we beat them 8-1, and the Bruins had just come off of a 7-2 loss to Buffalo Sabres. So like everyone was expecting the Bruins to be pissed because again, we beat them 8-1 and they just lost 7-2. So like they're hungry for a win. And so everyone was kind of expecting them to just like really bring it.
Well, there was
Um
many fisticuffs during that game,
yeah, there
is
was
what I
quite
wrote.
a few. So the Jets beat the Bruins 6-2. Sure, I'm glad we won. But what really got it for me was that okay, so Morgan Barron is injured, and so they had to call somebody up from the Moose to replace him. And there's a Moose player named Parker Ford who grew up in Rhode Island, and his home team, like his childhood team that he rooted for, he had their jerseys, their posters, like everything. Like this was his team, was the Boston Bruins. And so they called him up to play this game. And again, the Jets are on a road trip, so like they're in Boston's arena in TD Garden. And like his family is like all there because again
So many people.
they all live there, and so like his family, his whole family, his friends, his girlfriend's family, like everybody imaginable is there to support him. I'll find videos of them all in the stands and I'll see if I
It
can put
was
them in
so
here.
cute.
It was very sweet. It was so cute. And so like this is his NHL debut, full stop. Like he's never been called up to the Jets before. Like this is his first time playing an NHL game. So like his NHL debut against his home team and with his entire family and friends like all in the stands. Like it was a big moment for him. They gave him the puck drop. It was just this big deal for him. And in a true fairy tale storybook moment, he scored a goal this game. And so he got his first NHL goal in this really important game for him. And I'll try and I'm sure it's there, but I'll find videos of his family like jumping up and like screaming and cheering and stuff. Like it was so cute. Like I literally cried. I told Bailey, I was like, I didn't even know this guy existed until we watched the Moose game. And like here I am, like literally crying over
No, like we were
watching.
so proud of him.
It was really sweet. Like it's stuff like that that makes sports and hockey like so fun, of like people getting those cool moments like that. But yeah, I
My
have
only notes for that game was no idea what occurred, but yay, Parker.
during like the intermission, they did this like little segment on him where they showed like his like childhood photos of him wearing Bruins jerseys and stuff, and they're all
Like
like
standing in the
oversized.
kitchen.
Yes, oh my god, it's so cute. But it was just a really big and really sweet moment for him, and he played so well that whole game. And it was just really like I was just so proud of him. It was really good to see. So another kind of ish milestone thing is happening. So Mark Scheifele is on track to overtake the new record for franchise lead in goals. And so he got 2 goals during the game. And so at this point in the third period, the Jets are leading like 5-2. And so they don't even take the power play seriously. They just keep trying to pass the puck to Scheif so that he can A, get a hattie, and B, get the franchise lead in goals. So like because they were just kind of coasting with that lead, they stopped like trying to play really. Like there were many moments during this like play where they're like opportune chances for any other player, but like they would forfeit their chance and try and pass it to Shifley so that they could get him another goal. And I just thought that was really funny. And then I got sad because the entire arena started booing the Bruins. And I don't like when, even if I don't like a team, I don't like when arenas boo their own team.
It's just not good. Not good form.
It's just shitty. Like, I get that you're frustrated that they're not performing well. They're obviously frustrated too. But,
You get
like,
on the ice and do better.
well, right, yeah. And it's like, my whole thing about it is that, like, they know. And it's like, you guys booing them isn't helping anything. Like, they know that they're not performing well. They know that they're losing. Like I was celebrating, obviously, but then I hated when the game ended off on that note because it just made me feel sad. This was the day that our teams went head to head together. So the Jets game was like earlier on, and then like at 9 freaking 30 p.m. Actually, not even. It was
Mm-hmm.
basically 10. It started at 10
It did, yeah,
because
because the freaking
that freaking okay.
basketball game.
So the Sharks and the Kraken played on this day as well, but the actual game got delayed, or like the puck drop got delayed. It was supposed to start at 9:30,
It didn't start
but
until 9:45.
yeah,
It didn't
exactly.
drop, yeah.
Basically when we like logged on to like Sportsnet to try and watch this game, it was like streaming this like college basketball game. And everybody was like, what the heck? So it already started like late and then it went to like past midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's the only problem with standing teams that are on the West Coast, is that for them games are at 7:30, but for us that's like
You're
9:30. So
so
like
late.
that sucks so bad. And they always go so late cuz hockey games are so long. So whatever. Anyways, I don't even remember what the final score was. 6-2. The Sharks lost. And well, I'll go into it after cuz I also had a goalie that got sent down, but it's fine.
Did Askey get sent down?
Askey got sent down.
No.
Mhm.
Poor Askey, he's such a
Yeah,
sweetie.
I know. But, you know, whatever. It'll probably be good for him to just chill for a bit and like whatever. But we did start with Askey and net, and I think he let in 3 or 4 goals,
4
and then they pulled him out
in
and
4 shots.
yep, rough. He is
Mhm.
better than that, I promise. He actually is quite good. I don't know. He was just having an an off game. But so they pulled him and then put Georgiev in, which I don't think was any better. But
He had some decent saves.
yeah, Georgiev is the Georgiev. So the way that Grubauer has lore, Georgiev has lore. Like Georgiev is to the Sharks what Grubauer was to the Kraken. Alexander Georgiev used to play for the Colorado Avalanche, and his nickname is Forgiev because he typically lets in 4 goals a game.
But he
And
didn't.
but he did. That was ASCII. But one of my favorite goalies, Mackenzie Blackwood, used to play for the Sharks, and then they traded Blackwood for Georgiev. So now Blackwood is on the Avalanche, and Georgiev is here, or sorry, well, at the Sharks, and yeah, he's been all right. Like he does have moments where he makes really good saves, but I also just think that like in a similar thing to Gru, like I think that he just needs to like be in a position where he can just get his confidence back
Yeah.
because he did used to be a really really good goalie. Like he bodied the Jets last year in the playoffs. Like Georgiev was the one in net when the Colorado Avalanche completely swept us in the first round of the playoffs. Like he is a good goalie. So I think that he just needs to get his confidence back too. But he has the advantage of having like NHL experience and like tenure. So ASCII's the one who got sent down instead of Georgiev. And so ASCII's back on the Barracuda.
Sad.
Yeah, sad. But good game for the Kraken. I mean, good game for me too. I still had fun watching it. I knew the Sharks would lose. They're not doing great lately. They're the last team in the league. But Macklin Celebrity got a point. So I'm happy. Oh, and I think Will Smith also got a point. So I'm happy.
Yeah. But the first Sharks goal
Hmm.
wasn't even an actual goal
I know, it was crazy. It
because it
bounced
bounced off
off.
Shane Wright's skate
It bounced off
and
of Shane
over
Wright's
Joey's
skate.
shoulder.
It made me laugh.
It was so
It
bad.
be your, it really be your own skate. I have a hot take about that.
That shouldn't count.
So whatever. I was gonna save it for my hot takes thing, but I want to say it now. I think that goals that bounce off of a goalie, like if it's like it goes in or whatever, and then they block it, but then it bounces off of them and goes into the net. I think that those shouldn't count. And I think that so if the Kraken had accidentally got it into their own goal somehow, I think that those shouldn't count either. I think that they should count if it was like the opposing team clearly had intent to shoot and it just bounced off of a player. But if it was like you as a Kraken or whatever, if one of the Krakens had meant to pass it and it bounced off of Shane Wright and went in, I don't think that should count. But if it was an opposing team that had an intent to shoot it and it bounced off, I think that's okay. But I don't think that pucks that bounce off of goalies, and I don't think that pucks that bounce off of your own team should count as goals. I told Robbie that as when the thing happened, and he was like, "I disagree. I think that's wrong, but whatever." And I was like, "No, I think that everyone else is wrong because it's not fair. Like, if
Mm-mm.
the goalie isn't an extension of like the goal post or anything like that. Like, if it bounces off a goal post and goes in, like that's fine. But like, the goalie shouldn't be an entity that is allowed to like." You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I just think
Mm-hmm.
that they shouldn't count. So
No.
that's my hot take. It was funny to watch though. Like I can talk about the third period because I know that you fell asleep.
Yeah. It's fine. I was
It's
sleepy.
a it's a late
It
game.
was a
Like
late
it
game.
started late and it ended so late. Like
I wrote Bjork around and find out. That's what actually happens when you pick up a rebound.
Bjork around and find out is so funny. They were getting
Mon
scrappy. Oh, sorry, you go off.
Yeah. No, they
Monty
were.
scored a lot.
Yeah. He had a really, really nice goal.
Hmm.
His first one was really nice.
Did he score multiple? I could have sworn he scored a
Yeah, he scored 2.
bunch. Oh, okay. I thought he got a Hattie.
Mm-mm.
Stevenson got 2 and Monty got 2, I think. Oh no, never mind. Stevenson only got 1. I could have sworn
Yeah.
that he got. I could have sworn that he was the first. Oh no, he was first goalie.
Stevenson was first.
I could have sworn that he did another one later on, but I
Mm-mm.
don't know. It was so late. I wasn't. I was also editing at the same time that this game was happening, so I was like, I, and it was so late. Anyways, Schwartz got a
Um,
goal.
he
Period.
did fresh out of the penalty box,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
he like picked it up and just took it into the net. And then Askey immediately got yanked after that.
Yeah. Oh, my poor
Yeah.
boy. It's okay. It's okay. He'll have fun on the Barracuda.
I have the note that the Sharks coach has to limit the young players' iPad time
Yeah, you texted me that, and I was like, "Oh, I don't I didn't see that part."
It was so funny.
What's the context of that for the viewer?
The, like, young players on the team,
Mhm,
like, spend a lot of time with the iPad reviewing, like, the plays of the game instead of
mhm.
focusing on the actual game that's happening. So, they have to limit the iPad time during the game.
That's so funny. So for the non-hockey people, each like bench has an iPad that like they can watch like replays of and like get like a view of the ice and stuff like that. It's good for when they're like planning strategy or whatever. Like they could like replay it and be like, you do this and I don't know, whatever. Like planning plays and stuff like that. But like sometimes the camera will pan to players on the bench and like you'll just see them like having their little iPad time. And I think it's so funny. And I think I texted you saying like, "Oh my god, well they're like young
Actual iPad kids.
enough to be iPad kids." So like
I wrote, "We love a good Dunn fight."
I have the craziest footage for you guys. If you guys become Dunner simps after this, I'm not responsible. I don't simp after Vince Dunn, but even I was like, okay, like that. And the craziest part is that they air like after every game, each like broadcasting thingy like does like a little montage of like the highlights of the game. And the fact that they added this, I was like, yeah. So I texted Bailey because she was asleep at this point, but I texted Bailey and I was like, not the Vince Dunn thirst edit.
And I was like, "Context, please?"
And I sent it to you, and you were like, bro. I
Well,
was
because
like,
I'd sent, like, a different video and, like, a picture of, like, the blood dripping down
yeah,
his
and I was like,
nose.
I'll do you one better. I have something that will blow your mind because I'm just like sitting there being like, well, good game, I guess. And then I'm watching the post game montage, and then I see that pop up, and I'm like, oh my god, rewind, rewind. I'm like, bro, I gotta film this real quick. I'm like, I have two people in my life that need to see this.
And I just exited my Vince Dunn, like, phase. But
He
you
reeled
know
you back. You
what?
never leave. He reeled you back in. The broadcasters and commentators said much needed win for the Kraken. So good for them.
Mhm.
And expected loss for the Sharks. But it was a fun game to watch overall.
Mhm.
Then we lost ASCII, so rip.
We lost Gru. Oh, well.
Oh well. The difference in attitude. I was asking no. Grew.
It would have been sad, like, a couple years ago or even last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair. Because Gru did get you guys through that playoff stint. I don't remember
Mhm.
how far the Kraken got in the playoffs, but like Gru was the one in net
Mhm.
for you guys through the playoffs. So like it's just have to see when players used to be good and they're starting to kind of not be. I wasn't obviously around for that, but like a lot of people in the Kraken subreddit. I lurk there a lot, but a lot of people in the Kraken subreddit were like just talking about how like ultimately like it sucks, but like it's what he needs right now and it's what the
Mhm.
team needs right now. So yeah, and hopefully Stesko will be a good. I don't think he's played yet, so
Mm-mm. No, he hasn't.
interested to see like what he as a backup is like and if he and Decord will make a good tandem.
I think he was pretty decent, like, on the Firebirds, but I haven't looked at his stats.
Yeah, fair. Another much needed win on Friday, January 31st. The Fleet win over the Sirens in a shootout, and the Fleet knocked Toronto to the bottom of the standings. Woo! We love to see it.
We're not there anymore.
No.
We're back down.
Yeah, I know. The PWHL standings this week have really taken quite a. They've been shuffling about.
It was crazy.
I said, oh, insane game. Second period full of fighting. Bailey wasn't tuned in for this part, but the final number that they gave was 24 penalty minutes served of the entire game, which is more than an entire period's worth of penalty minutes served. Guys, they were so feisty. They were like at each other's throats. It was really funny. It was crazy. Like it was so intense. I don't know why, but like I'll see if I can find videos of all the fighting and stuff. Cause like I swear to God, like every 2 minutes, like gloves off, like scrapping, and like 24 penalty minutes is crazy.
That's crazy.
When you consider that the average hockey game, for the most part, since every period is 20 minutes, like a hockey game is 60 minutes. 24 minutes of that being just penalties and like serving time in the penalty box is crazy.
That's crazy.
Aaron Frankel, 1,000 career saves. Um,
So crazy.
She's the
First in
first,
PWHL.
yeah, first in the league to get that many career saves, which is crazy. Boston was the runner-ups to get the Walter Cup last year, and she was an absolute beast. And so congrats to her. That's a really freaking awesome milestone.
Mhm.
The Sirens were down 2-0 until the last 5 minutes, and then they decided to try. um, it is like they do have an injury though. Like one of their like best scorers is currently injured. And so whatever. But yeah, so until the last 5 minutes, it was a 2-0, almost a shutout. And then somehow it went all the way into a shootout. Which as y'all should know by now, goes overtime and then a shootout. So the fact that like they came back was actually pretty good. And the fact that it was a shootout means that the Sirens still got a point and the Fleet got 2 points. So yay. Kraken didn't play yesterday, did they?
Mm-mm.
They had a
No, they're
2
playing tonight.
daybreak and then they played tonight. We'll put. I mean, they play in an hour. Yeah, we'll put in post maybe of what that game ended up being like. Uh, yesterday, craziest game ever, guys. I get medium heated during games, but like yesterday, like I was like swearing, I was like yelling at the screen. I was like, it was intense, gang. But the Jets close out their road trip, beating the Washington Capitals 5-4 in OT. In the grand scheme of things, the game didn't mean anything. But like in a smaller scale, it was an important game because the Jets are currently the first in the NHL, and then the Washington Capitals are second in the NHL. And so like this game was kind of like either if the Jets won, we would have just like increased our lead, or if the Capitals won, they would have overtaken us. So like it was kind of an important game in the sense of like we're battling for the top spot basically. But I have here most intense game of my life. Definitely not true, but like it felt like it at the time. It felt like a playoff game. It was kind of crazy. Um some highlights: Perfetti got a goal, and I said Parker Ford better stay on the team because he's insane. He played so well this game, and a bunch of people in the Reddit were commenting about how like he looked great the entire game. But, like hopefully at some point soon they just like call him up from the Moose and just like keep him on the Jets to be on the Jets and not the Moose because like he's been a really good asset to the team.
I didn't
Um
know he played both games.
yeah, I wasn't expecting him to, but
Mm-hmm.
I think because Morgan Barron is still injured, and so they were like,
You did well your first game.
yeah, and like, yeah, exactly. Like he played so well, that they were like, well, you're in, bestie. Um, I don't know. Do I want to get into lore right now? Um, Pierre Luc Dubois currently plays for the Washington Capitals. He used to play for the Winnipeg Jets. He was all right. He was more cocky and obnoxious than like his output was really warranting. Like when he scored goals, they were nice goals, but like for the most part he didn't deliver enough for him to be as cocky and arrogant and obnoxious as he was when he was on the team. There's this very famous trade where we traded him to LA and we got 3 players in return for him, and everybody talks constantly about how like we won the trade because like our 3 players have been delivering every time, and he did nothing on the Kings and they sent him to Washington or whatever. We got Gabriel Velarde, Alex Iafallo, and Rasmus Kupari in exchange for Dubois. And like those 3 have just been absolute assets to the team. But yeah, so like the Jets like fandom has like beef with Dubois. So now he plays for the Caps, and he got the first like Caps goal. Like the Jets scored first, we were leading 2-0, but then like Dubois scored for the Caps first, and we were really salty because everybody was like, dude, anybody but Dubois, we hate him. We also hate Alexander Ovechkin. Who said that? What? Just kidding. I'll say it proudly. We hate Alexander Ovechkin. He is currently on a mission. It's called the Great Chase. Basically, he is set to overtake Wayne Gretzky in goals and set like the league record for goals scored. So going into yesterday's game, he needed 19 more goals to beat the record, and then he scored during the game, And so now he's only 18 goals away from beating the record. And I'm extra salty about it because it was a save that Hellebuck definitely could have made. I don't know why he didn't. The puck went off his glove. I don't know what happened or why he didn't save it, but it was definitely one that he should have had. So we definitely could have prevented that, but whatever. It was also a really one-sided game because even though the Jets were dominating in the first period, the refs weren't calling anything. Like the refs were so clearly on the Capital side, it was crazy. There was this really blatant tripping call. I don't remember who it was, but one of the Capitals like literally takes his stick, swings it at Velarde's legs, and like takes his legs out from under him. Velarde goes like sprawling. Most blatant tripping call I've ever seen in my life. And then it doesn't get called. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. And then I don't remember who somebody like like if there should have been a boarding call against Perfetti. Like somebody completely like smashed Perfetti's like head into the boards and he fell. And no, like they didn't call it. And like there was just a bunch of stuff like that where like the Capitals were playing really dirty and nobody was calling it. And so people were getting really mad saying that like, okay, like but then like the most weakest calls would get called on the Jets. And so people were just saying that like I'll see if I can find videos because it's like crazy how like this dude literally like swings his stick at Velarde's legs and just takes his legs out from under him. And it doesn't get called for tripping. Like there are some tripping calls that are kind of weak, I will admit. Like there are some tripping calls where I'm like that's kind of but like this one was so deliberately like the action and the follow through and the falling, like it was such a trip. Anyway, so I was just getting really mad because it was like these refs are really, really stupid. The Jets got really sloppy in the third period. Like they clearly outplayed the Capitals in the first. They ended the first period with a 2-0 lead, and then I think they kind of got it in their heads a bit. Like it shouldn't have gone into OT at all. Like they shouldn't have let the Capitals get it to 4-4, like tie it up. The Jets are currently first in the league, leading by 2 points. So I think the Jets have 77 points, and now because they went to a shootout, the Capitals still get a point. So instead of us leading by 3 points, we're only leading by 2. So I think the Capitals are at 75 and the Jets are at 77. And then today, the Victoire beat the Sirens 2-1. It was 2-0 for the longest time, and then I think in the last 5 minutes, the Sirens scored. But Schroeder wasn't in net. Oh, I was so sad. She's not injured or anything. She was just like she was there. I saw her, but like she just wasn't
I
in
saw her
net.
walk in.
And again, one of the Sirens like best scorers, Alex Carpenter, is injured as well. But Marie-Philippe Poulin scored twice, and she almost got another hat trick, which would have been cool. But unfortunately, she just ended the game with her two goals, and her two goals were the only goals in the game because again, 2-1. So
Crazy.
yeah, it was a pretty good one. There was a lot of fighting in this one too. I don't know. I don't know what's going on lately, but like the
In
PWHL is
general.
getting scrappy, the PWHL. Marie-Philippe Poulin got a 5-minute major on this like really brutal looking hit to one of the Sirens players. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a really physical, really aggressive game, and like yeah, the games have been kind of crazy lately. But then this is the last PWHL game until February 11th or 12th, I think. Like they don't play for a while because they're also taking a break for their like international teams. Yeah, pretty good week. And then the Kraken play later in like
Mm-hmm.
half an hour ish.
Yeah, Calgary.
Let's see if any of them saw our story. Okay, the Victoire saw my story. That's it.
They
Our story.
always watch. Kate,
Yeah,
did you
that's true.
notice there's that new Newcastle Young Stars? Watched all of our stories.
No? What?
It's some like hockey
Oh.
league in Ontario with these like children.
Oh, and they're followed by Cole Perfetti, period. Wow.
Crazy.
195 followers. Hey guys. Wait, that's crazy that they saw all of our stories.
They watched all of them yesterday.
That's crazy. Hey guys.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome here. It's crazy. I want to know how people are finding us. Like aside from like our like there are like cuz there have been some viewers that I'm like, "Where did you come from?" Like
Mm-hmm.
aside from people that we know obviously. And like yeah, I wish that like Instagram kind of told you more about how people are finding you and like who is watching your stuff. I have a post where like it had like 6 people shared it in some way. And I know that I
Mm-hmm.
was one of them because I put it on my story.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, where did the other 5 ones come from? Like
Or like
who's
the saves.
yes, who is saving our stuff? 17. My the reel that we put about when I was talking about Toninato and how
Brossois.
he looks like Brossois, it has 17 shares. Who's sharing it? I wish that we could see it.
That's crazy.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
17. Who is sending it off? They better not be sending it to Brossois. He doesn't have Instagram. They better not be sending it to Toninato. That's crazy because that's the one that has our most shares. Like some of them,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them have one, but that's just because I've been putting them on our stories and stuff.
Yeah.
But like 17, like who?
Like, who saved my intro?
Yeah, that's true. So in our get to know us post, somebody saved Bailey's, and we don't know, and we wish that we could know.
Mm-hmm.
If
Was it
anyone
Joy
knows,
Decord?
if
Was it Mama Decord?
she's like checks off. She's like vetting you, vetting process. She's like, yep, this one, saving this to show my son later. If anyone's a hacker, because like Instagram doesn't let you see it, but if anyone's a hacker and knows how we can hack into that data, because
Please and
that's
thank you.
because like
For free.
I just need it for free. I just need to know like who would, yeah. But yeah, we have some reels and TikToks and stuff up. Follow us on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok at From the Box
Yeah.
Pod. I know that a lot of you guys are from Instagram, but follow us on TikTok. We've been getting a couple of favorites on there too. I think people just think that Toninato and or Brossois are hot. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but then the one with me talking about my jersey got saved twice.
Yeah. Oh, twice. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's twice.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and
Okay,
your Toninato one got saved twice too.
what are y'all up to as viewers? Let us know what what the viewer mindset is like. As we are recording this, we have 3 episodes up now. We have our first ever one where we kind of introduce ourselves and talk about how we got into our respective teams and how Bailey got into F1 and how I got into hockey and stuff. And then our very first ever weekly Yap-Up, which was last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have our Q&A episode up. That was so fun. We should do another one
Much
of those.
anticipated
Yeah,
Q&A episode.
everybody was asking about it. It's finally up, guys. Hopefully our questions or our answers actually don't disappoint.
If you have any more cues, let us know.
If you have any more cues, let's do another one. I'm saying it right now. Let's do another
Yeah.
one. Oh, almost forgot.
Welcome to the Dice Box.
Welcome to the Dice Box. As you guys will recall, I mean, maybe if you watched the last weekly Yap-Up, that was when we started our whole From the Dice Box segment, where we roll dice for our teams each week, and then like compare the numbers to how well that they did. So last week for my teams, I rolled an 8 for the Jets, 14 for the Sharks, 19 for the Sirens, and then a 14 for the Victoire. I Jets definitely not accurate. They won every game this week. The Sharks 14, sure, maybe. They may have lost against the Kraken, but like the fact that they won against the Penguins is good. I think maybe like a 10 or a 12 would have been more accurate. Sirens 19, definitely not accurate. They lost to they lost to the Fleet and they lost to the Victoire. A 3-0 shutout against Ottawa on Monday, I think, is pretty good. But I don't know if it's like good enough to carry the whole week and like be a 19, you know? Even though it was Kaylee Osborne's first shutout, like it's still. And then for the Victoire, I rolled a 14. I would say they should have been a little bit better. I don't think that they lost any games this week, so I think that they should have been a little bit better.
Flipping them.
Yeah, I would if I could flip them, I would say like
Mm-hmm.
Sirens. Oh no, Sharks at an 8, Sirens at a 14, Jets at a 19, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bailey's rolls.
I rolled a 16 for the Fleet, which I think is pretty accurate.
I think it's
They
pretty
only
accurate. I
and
think they only
then
played
they
once.
won. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I think that's
I
accurate.
think that's accurate.
And then I rolled an 8 for the Kraken, which probably would have a little bit higher.
Yeah, like
Would be
it
more accurate.
because like 2 losses, but then 1 big win. So like
Mm-hmm. Whatever, we can't change our rolls.
whatever. But we can always roll new ones. So let's see. I'll start with the Jets. I'm just rolling on my desk right now, but like I think last time I dropped one. Okay, well like let's hope that's like not real.
Oh no.
I rolled 2. You can't really see. I rolled a 2.
No.
Okay, Jets.
The viewers don't understand any of this, but
Fine. Okay, Sharks next. I might and hopefully I'm planning on getting more dice like that actually fit the colors and the vibes tomorrow. So hopefully like these will be better rolls. Okay, Sharks, a 9. There is no need to roll for the PWHL teams. They don't
Nope.
play for another 10 days. So, okay, cool. So, a 2 and a 9. That's what we're working with. Okay,
Nice.
Bailey just has to roll once then.
Well, we're gonna hope that's not true.
What did you get? Was it a 1?
I got that one.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's okay. Ours weren't accurate last time, so
We're gonna hope that's not true.
yeah.
That one is a hard no.
Yeah. And a nat 2.
And a 2.
So let's hope that that's not real. Let me see what the week has in store and see.
Oh god, yeah. Who are they playing?
Okay, so no one plays tomorrow. Okay, the Jets play the Hurricanes on Tuesday. And the Kraken play Detroit on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Thursday, Kraken play the Leafs.
The Leafs.
Please beat the Leafs. Please beat the
And then on
Leafs.
Saturday they play Calgary again.
On Friday, Jets play the Islanders. Tuesday, the Sharks play the Habs. Okay. On Thursday, the Sharks play the Canucks. Okay, they're going on a little Canadian tour, period. And then on
You mean
Saturday,
instead they don't even play the Canucks, they just play Quinn Hughes.
no, for real, Quinn Hughes is carrying that team.
He's the only one doing anything, but I think he's like injured.
I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
He looked kind of injured.
There's so much stuff that's been coming out of the Canucks world lately. I'm glad I'm not a Canucks fan because I feel like I would just be so stressed constantly with how the past few weeks have been for them. And then Saturday the Sharks play Dallas. Oh, they're gonna lose that one. That's fine. F1 stuff doesn't start for another week, or no, another few weeks.
Car launches are starting next week. And then helmet reveals are starting as well.
Okay, so we'll have some stuff to talk about.
Hopefully.
Slay.
I know Lando posted something saying that he had a surprise coming next week.
Okay.
So
Okay, love that.
I think everyone's anticipating a helmet reveal.
Okay.
So I'm excited to see what that looks like this year.
Yay! And then we can talk about it. Yay!
We love helmet reveals.
I'm so excited. I'm excited for that. I love that. Okay. Whoa. Yeah, I'm excited to finally start talking about F1 stuff soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the week. Nothing on the PWHL front for the next 2 weeks. Rip. Thanks for joining us in
The
press box. Which box will we be in next?
The dice box?
The penalty box?
The box?
Roll for it.